Hey y'all, I'm Allison Asarch from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Sean Fraser from the Ritzy Kids.
Hunters, this is Johnny from Rail Motor.
Hey, it's Shane from Blind Season.
Hey, it's Rob Stanier, and you can check out my music on all the streaming platforms.
Check out my latest music on all the streaming sites.
Check out my debut album on all streaming platforms.
Check out our new debut album.
Check us out on Spotify and Apple Music. And you're listening to our friends, Braggy and Curly.
My favorite bands from Australia.
My two favourite podcasters,
Braggy and Curly.
Braggy and Curly.
On the
Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast.
Hey there, everyone, and welcome to episode 111 of the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast. We are at all points of our wonderful nation this evening. We've got Braggy down there in Adelaide, we've got Rossi in Sydney, and we've got our very special guest, Josie, who is joining us from Townsville. How are we all?
Great.
Very well.
Fantastic, mate. Very, very good.
Excellent. Good to hear.
Freezing here, but very good.
Can't
Nice
relate.
and warm up there in Townsville.
Yeah, it's actually like the perfect weather this morning. I joined like a uni class this morning and they're all in Melbourne and she's sitting there in a beanie and jumper and I was putting a jumper on, but mind you, it was 23 degrees. And I was like, I'm cold. And she's like, I haven't even seen a day above 20 in the last like 4 months. And I was like, oh, fair.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time it was 20.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day here in Brisbane too. So just quietly. And what was the weather like in Sydney, Rossi?
It was just guitars today. It's just cold steel and wood.
Okay, so the only bit of news I want to share is that the Stems have finally had some of their old Citadel music put on a lovely fluorescent green record, and it's also now available on streaming platforms. And one of those classic songs from the Stems, Tears Me in Two Ways, is now available online. So I think that's
Wow.
the only little bit of news that we've got. Rossi, anything down your neck of the woods?
Look, we've had an unfortunate spate of hotel closures in Sydney this week. We've lost the Lansdowne hotels closing.
Oh, really?
We lost. Yep. The Broadway, the Hollywood Hotel, I believe, is gone, and the Town and Country's gone.
Wow.
The Town and Country's most notable because Jupiter 5 were the last band to play there before they shut their doors on Monday.
Rossi, is the Lansdowne where Nirvana played?
No, that was the Phoenician Club, which is down the road from there. Yeah,
Oh,
the Lansdowne is a very, very famous Sydney pub.
Okay.
And
So
it's gone.
And she's gone.
Is there relevance with Jupiter 5? Were you the guys that forced the closure, or what's
There have been discussions. That accusation has been levelled at it. Apparently, there were complaints about the sound of the bass, and that was just from the rest of the band.
Oh, yeah.
And that's fantastic. Josie, welcome to the podcast. It's going to be a wonderful journey, I guess, for us because we've been listening to your new single. You've got a new single out. It's your first single, I believe, down here. And so let's get the ball rolling. I'm going to pass to Braggy to ask the usual question that he asks every one of our guests.
I just want to know where it all starts for you, JC. How does music come into your life?
Yeah. Music was in my life from like day dot, seriously. Like I've been singing, writing songs ever since I was a tiny little tot. And like my nonny's here at the moment. She's from down south and she has always told me this story that when I was a little kid, I'd tell her, Nonny, I really want to be on the stage when I'm older. I just want to be on the stage. And this is at like 5 or something. So I think like looking back at that and going, oh, wow, okay, well, look what I'm doing now. I think little 5-year-old me would be so proud. And of course, Nonny is very proud. But yeah, so it really started at such a young age. And I originally wanted to go down like the pop genre. And I was like, yeah, I want to be a pop star. And the songs I'd be writing were just like a remake of Justin Bieber's Baby. And it would just say baby at least 20,000 times. And then I was like, actually, no, I think my roots really lie in the country. And I love country music. And then it was about, I think I was probably 10 when I was like, yeah, I think country's the vibe, and started trying to write country tunes. And I still remember the very first country song I wrote. It was a very cliche about a pickup truck, which I've since gone against in case you haven't heard the lyrics of my song.
Yes, we have.
Digging on anyone calling a ute a truck. So that was definitely me when I was 10. So I've come around.
And so did the country come from, well, like we know that you have travelled with your dad, in the truck from, because now Townsville's, I was born and bred in Townsville, so I know Townsville pretty well. And that's a freaking long way to Perth or wherever you're going from there. So is that where the country seeped in, like on the radio of the truck?
Yeah, 100%. Like we were leaving Townsville, heading straight through Northern Territory, through into Western Australia to like Kununurra and Broome and stuff. And we would just be listening to like such a vast, range of genres, but predominantly country. Like we listened to Alan Jackson, Garth Brooks, the Dixie Chicks. And I've been telling a few people that like the token song when we would do our truck trip that like had to come on a million times was If You're Going Through Hell by Rodney Atkins. That was just like, it was every time, multiple times a day. And you just knew, like, if you didn't hear that song, it was like, something's not right. We should probably play that song. So that was the token. But country music definitely was fed to me in the truck. And I loved it. It was just the thing. So I couldn't imagine doing anything other than country, really.
Did it help you to understand the country we live in by seeing it all by road?
Oh, yeah.
And the size of it.
Yeah, let me tell you, seeing Australia's landscape from the bunk of a Western Star, can't beat it. Like, unmatchable. It's seriously incredible. Like, I feel so grateful that I was given that childhood. Like, how many other kids that I go to school with that were like, I went out with my dad in the truck? No one. It was literally me. And I was like, we went to Darwin and then and pretty much my whole life up until I went to school, we were in the truck cruising around. But every holidays we'd be heading off and doing trips and come back and all the other kids would be like, I went to Fiji. And I was like, I went to Catherine. And they're like, where's that?
You win, I reckon.
Oh, yeah.
I think I win.
Before I go to Fiji.
If you don't see your own country first, what's the point?
Exactly. And that was the thing with those other kids, though, was like, I've been to Townsville and that's it. And I'm like, you're telling me you haven't even been to Charters Towers? They're like, Charters Towers? What's that? Like, kids that I went to school with must have been so sheltered. Like, they just had no idea. And I feel very grateful that I was given that experience growing up. And I think it's definitely shaped a lot of, the rest of how I've lived out my life and just my love for country and country living and the landscape and Australia. Like, love it.
Do you hear the sound of a diesel in your songwriting sometimes?
I do. I have a lot of trucking songs in the back pocket. Between you and me, the next song that's coming out is a trucking song about my dad. So it's definitely the flavor that we're going for. So it shines through.
Job. One of the hardest jobs in the world. Those blokes, I know what it's like for those guys to drive trucks. Man, that's hard work.
Absolutely. And without trucks, Australia stops. So
that's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Doing the Lord's work.
That's great, and it's in your song as well. The link between the home of country music in like America and Australia is that trucking thing, because it's such a vast land that they have as well. So it's so very clever song. Yeah,
but the American truckers are soft compared to the Australian ones.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
there ain't no big road trains.
Is that from experience, Rossi, or what?
Look, you look at the size of this country and how far these blokes have to drive and what the conditions of the roads are compared to what the Americans have to deal with. Australian guys, they're just hard as nails.
Okay. So
they're different.
Josie, from the time in the truck, and obviously there was some influences of some music there, have you found that grown and adapted as you've sort of matured through your musical journey?
100%. Like, I find even, like I said, we'd be listening to Alan Jackson and Garth Brooks and stuff, but then I'll be at a gig and people will be like, can you play some Garth Brooks? And I'm like, no. I can probably play one song. And so it's definitely evolved. Like, but country music itself has evolved so much. We've got country metal, we've got country pop, we've got country just about bloody everything at the moment. Like, it has changed so much, and it is changing every week. Like, there's something new and a different fusion that's come out. So I think it's difficult to have not adapted. Obviously, like, so many people are stuck in their ways of let's stay to this traditional country thing. But I'm so here for the fusions of everything. Like, bring it on. I love it.
Yeah, we talked about this last week with our guest last week about how I can't see how anyone can say they don't like country because it's such a varied genre.
There's country everything.
That's right. Correct.
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah.
So is Tamworth on your horizons?
I've done Tamworth 4 times now and done the academy in Tamworth as well. So
yeah,
I've done a fair chunk there. I don't know about next year. I've been asked a few times, but it's a difficult, thing to figure out. It's very expensive. And as an independent artist, going there and playing for a burger isn't always ideal because you've got to pay your bills. So I mean, we'll see if I can get some stuff rolling and make it worthwhile, definitely. But yeah, like I said, being an independent artist and trying to fund everything else yourself, it gets very expensive.
Yeah, because you can't eat your exposure dollars.
Unfortunately not, and they refuse to forward the exposure onto my landlord sometimes.
Oh, no, so that's shocking, isn't it? You're not the first one I've heard this story about. It's terrible business.
Yep, it's a struggle. So I wish she'd accept it.
And it's not like
but she seems to not want it.
Yeah, and it's not like accommodation's cheap in Tamworth every January, is it?
No, like we literally get ready. My family stayed there for 9 days. We privately rented out someone's house for the 9 days. Spent $4,500.
Wow. Yeah, that's about right.
On the accommodation.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous.
I had an interesting story about accommodation. A guy called Gary Moore, who is a famous blues guitarist. You ever heard of Gary Moore, guys? Maybe.
Yes.
Anyway,
of course.
He was in a band for a while. He was in a band called Thin Lizzy, who are one of my personal favorites. And there was a bust up in the band, and he left the band and he stayed in America. And he came back home after a month and hadn't realized hadn't thought about that the management of the band had been paying his rent. So when he came home, he was locked out because they just changed the locks and refused to pay his rent.
Yeah,
he couldn't get his stuff.
All right. So we've got, as I mentioned off air, Josie, we have our Braggy Who Am I segment, and it's in 3 parts. And he always tries to tailor for the genre of the guests that we have. So I'm presuming.
Oh,
do I?
I was getting nervous.
So you don't.
Yes, I do.
Or does
yes,
he?
I do.
All right. Okay. So
don't worry. I know a bit about other things. I swear.
That's right. Now. Last week I thought I had the best opening paragraph so far. Well, I think I've topped it. Are you ready for this?
I can't wait.
I was born on the 26th of September 1948 in Cambridge, England. My father worked for MI5 on the Enigma project at Bletchley Park and took Rudolf Hess into custody during World War II.
Okay.
How's that for a start? After the war, he became the headmaster of Cambridgeshire High School for boys and was in this post when I was born. My mother was born in Germany and had to come to the UK with her family in 1933 to escape the Nazi regime. My maternal grandfather was the Nobel Prize-winning physicist Max Born, a friend of Albert Einstein. In early 1954, when I was 5, my family emigrated to Australia, where my father accepted the role as a professor of German at the University of Melbourne. I attended Christchurch Grammar School in the Melbourne suburb of South Yarra with Darryl Braithwaite. At age 14, with 3 classmates, I formed a short-lived trio called Soul 4, which often performed at a coffee shop owned by my brother-in-law. That's part 1. Any ideas, boys and girls?
None whatsoever.
Oh,
nothing.
Good. That's what it's supposed to be like.
Okay.
Okay, good, because I was quietly over here, bricks out the back.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, that's all right. There's
No
two
idea.
more segments. Good
Okay.
chance.
So
It is good
Josie,
open.
yeah, it is. It's Braggy's just getting him out there to stump us all now. So that's awesome. So Josie, tell us a little bit about Down Here and where the song came from.
Yeah, so Down Here, it started when I was literally it started down here.
That's how we say it.
When I was literally I was like cruising around listening to my Spotify playlist, as you do, listening to like Fresh Country, which is, the it playlist for any artist. Like that's where everything that's anything these days, it's in that playlist. So I was listening to it and I was like, right, how can I like put myself in this space with these artists? How can I like, be in this same vibe? Everyone is singing about Tennessee and Nashville and, American stuff and, give off these real raw vibes that I'm not just trying to mimic everyone else that's on those playlists. And that line, I can't sing about Tennessee, was what got me. I was like, you know what? That is the song. I can't sing about Tennessee, but luckily I got to throw in the buzzword. Still, doing me a favor. And I was like, this is great. So I literally like got Siri to do audio recording while I'm driving around, and I just started like word dumping all of my ideas. And then went and started trying to write it, and I had like a couple verses and chorus. And then I went to Ben Penner, who you guys spoke to not that long ago. And I was like, I've got this song. I think it's got some really great potential, but like, let me know your thoughts. What can we like, come up with? What can we flesh out? So we kind of sat there in like an hour and a half. We were just sitting there like coming up with all these other like comparisons and everything. And then we sat down and we just jammed it, and we were like, yeah, this is really cool. I happen to be going into the studio in 2 weeks. I think this is going to be a high contender. And then it's like, yeah, I think it will be. Anyway, went into the studio with M Squared. Incredible. And out of the 10 songs that I showed them, that one was the one they were like, this is a no-brainer. Like, you're doing this one. And I was like, really? I wrote it 2 weeks ago. And they're like, yeah, this is it. So we then rewrote most of it, and it was reworked and got rid of a lot of stuff, but still kept those like main themes that I wanted, and just kind of reworked like some of the melody things and a lot of stuff that I wasn't like super confident with. I was like, yeah, this something can change and it'll spice it up a bit. So everything that we did there to change it, like I'm very happy with the changes we made, because it just turned out exactly how I had envisioned my first session with those guys to happen. And yeah, it was so unreal seeing it come together. Definitely like the longest songwriting process I've ever gone through in my life. I don't think I've gone through 3 different stages of a songwrite with 3 different people. So that was different, but like well worth all of the effort.
But the original idea came fast though. So usually the good ones come pretty quick. Would you say that, Rossi?
I agree with that. But you must have been absolutely blown away to get over 50,000 streams.
Oh.
Yeah, in 4 weeks. Insane.
Wow.
I didn't know what, I was like, how do I even gauge like what is a good amount? Being my debut, like obviously I've got nothing else out there to, compare it to. So I was like, I don't even know what's good. But seeing 50,000 on the song after 4 weeks and doing everything all myself, I was like, wow, okay. I feel like that's pretty good. I can be proud of that.
Absolutely.
So
you must be looking forward to that $15 Spotify check.
I can't wait. Like I'm gonna go get a coffee as soon as that shit hits my bank.
Those bastards. But that is so impressive. It really is. No, it is. And like you can leverage off that. It's extraordinary.
So let's share a snippet. And we're on a new platform tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So let's see that this all works.
Living down here where a truck ain't a 4x4. It's an 18-wheeler caught in them lows crossing all the ball. Way down here where the homeland's girded by sea. We might not talk in miles, but the West is just as wild. From the Kansas on to the Outback Plains. Maybe that country life is all the same. I can't sing about Tennessee and what it means to me. things look a little worse for wear. The land ain't drinking till the rain starts falling in the southern air. And way on down here, everybody's got a tale to tell about the better days when there was water in the well.
Is there what's the Ville like? Is there places to play in the Ville these days?
To 3-4 gigs a weekend at the moment, which like I would like to tone down and do a bit more Josie stuff, but obviously like that pays my bills. So I really appreciate that I can sing to pay my bills. Like that's a bizarre thing to think. Like as a kid, I definitely never would have thought that, I'm literally singing for a living. And I think it gives me like that creative freedom to spend my week doing Josie things, which is really great. And obviously I'm studying as well, so it gives me the space to do that, and then go and sing for 4 hours at a pub on a weekend, and Bob's your uncle. So heaps of places, and I think it's becoming quite a big thing here. I just went to Yeppoon last weekend and played a wedding down there, and I was looking for some like venues, and I was like, oh, where do you guys have live music? And I feel like it just didn't seem that big of a thing. Like in Townsville, we have a whole page dedicated to like the gig guide of the weekend, and it's like lengthy, and I think it's just such a big thing here at the moment, which I'm very grateful for. But it kind of blew my mind. I was like, oh, you mean no one else does this? So that was a bit of a, okay, cool, this is great. So Townsville has got a fair bit of live music stuff going on. But I think they appreciate it here.
Obviously dominated by Ben Penner and Josie at the moment. So that's really
dominated.
Hey,
dominated. Ben's killing it. He has got heaps going on.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about how not only you're performing, you're doing you're building your career as Josie, you're also studying. So like, you said you've been doing like a music course, and how beneficial are you finding that? Is that really benefiting you and sort of helping you drive and understand what you're doing now?
Definitely. I think I've been telling a few people this, that the biggest thing I've really taken away from this degree has been the networking and like being in contact and creating these connections with industry professionals. Like my head of music is Jessie Hooper from Killing Heidi, if that just puts it into perspective. Like everyone that's a teacher there has either been nominated for or has won an ARIA award, every single one of them. Like it's an incredible board of staff, and they are all just so helpful and have seriously just those connections alone, I think was well worth me doing this course. But obviously like learning everything from them as well has been awesome, and just hearing their stories about working in the industry, touring, producing, writing, everything. Like it's been huge. We've literally gotten every single little minute detail about the industry fed to us, and it's been a lot, but I'm nearly done and trying to soak it all in now that I've only got 4 weeks left, and I'm like, oh wow, so what am I going to do with my life now? But it's been really great, and I'm definitely glad that I went for it, because I originally wasn't actually going to do uni full stop, and it was like a very last minute decision. The week before the intake, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. And there's like nothing up here in Townsville that offers music courses or anything. Everything is online, or I'd have to move. And I was like, oh, I literally just left high school. There is no way I'm going to afford to move to Melbourne, really. I can hardly afford to live here, and I live at mum's house. No. But then, I just decided, I was like, oh, they do an online offering. Obviously, COVID was the whole thing at that time, so online was their normal anyways. So I was like, all right, well, may as well. Jumped onto it, and
because the Hoopers are actually from Melbourne, aren't they? Or down regional Victoria, actually, I think. Yeah.
So Josie, you've specialised in the study in songwriting, and I think when I go and listen to Down Under, I think it's a really clever song, but a lot of people miss the cleverness in it on their initial listen. So, for example, I played it for my wife, and she said, "Why is an Australian singing about Tennessee?" And I said, "Well, you need to listen to the lyrics, Sharon." So But I think, but I think
Sharon, take a second.
but the interesting
Curly's
thing
out in the doghouse.
I know. Sharon doesn't listen to the podcast. We're all good.
We love you, Sharon.
But even the little subtlety when the first chorus, you sing a little Hank on the radio, and then the second is a little Merle on the radio, and then the final one is a bit of Chicks on the radio. And I just think that's really subtle and clever. So,
there is so many little clever lines in there, and like it started with the whole how do I like say that living in Australia, like there's these country sayings and stuff that are way different. So the truck being a 4x4 in their land, but being an 18-wheeler, which I've copped so much backlash over, may I add.
Oh, really?
Because we don't have 18-wheelers here. And I'm like, mate, I'm aware it's a generalization and it's just a song. This isn't a truck anatomy class, all right? So
we have road trains. We have road trains.
Yeah, it's called poetic license.
Yeah. And people have seriously gotten their knickers in a knot over it. And where did you get your truck knowledge from? Stories and movies. Meanwhile, I'm cruising around in my nappy in the truck, the road train with my dad. People just have no idea and got nothing better to do with their life. And I'm like, well, whatever. I know. So my dad has a 70-wheeler and he's not cracking a tanny because I didn't mention his wheels. It's crazy. I thought I was being smart, just getting at the
70-wheeler.
And see, that just doesn't flow. I can't be like, it's a 70-wheeler, cutting them loads. It doesn't work. I hear the alarm.
Oh, okay.
Hey.
Okay, that's part 2 of Braggy's Hellmire.
Previously on Who Am I? This person was quite...
Here we go. I'm buckling in.
I originally wanted to become a veterinarian, but then chose to focus on performance after doubting my ability to pass science exams. In 1964, my acting talent was first recognised when I started my university's production of the Admiral Crichton, and I became the Young Sun's Drama Award Best Actor runner-up. In 1965, I entered and won a talent contest on the television program Sing Sing Sing, hosted by 60s Australian icon Johnny O'Keefe. Rossi will remember them. I was initially reluctant to use my prize, a trip to Great Britain, but travelled there nearly a year later after my mother encouraged me to broaden my horizons. In 1966, I recorded my first single, Till You Say You'll Be Mine, in Britain for Decca Records. I spent the remainder of the 60s singing in nightclubs across Europe and recording backup vocals for various artists, most notably on Come In, You'll Get Pneumonia by the Easy Beats. I've never heard that one, Rossi. I released my first solo album in 1971, and the title track, written by Bob Dylan, was my first international hit. My follow-up single went top 10, and I found myself making frequent appearances on Cliff Richard's weekly TV show. In 1974, I represented the United Kingdom in the Eurovision Song Contest with the song Long Live Love. Unfortunately, that was the same year ABBA broke with Waterloo.
Yeah. Did this person want to become a veterinarian because they love children?
Huh? I don't get that. I don't know.
All right. Okay. I still have absolutely no idea.
You got any idea, Rossi?
I got a little bit of an idea, I think.
Okay, cool. Josie, any idea?
I feel like the children comment may have led me down the garden path somewhere, but
yeah, I didn't get that either.
I'm not confident. Yeah,
it's actually from a Julie Brown song. Julie Brown, who Julie Brown, Curly? No, she did.
Poor
she had
Curly.
an album called Goddess,
I'm
Goddess
not
in
as
Progress.
well-rounded as you guys. So
it's a comedy album.
Is that a song that was sung by the Screaming Tribesmen, Rossi? I don't know.
No. No. Julie Brown did songs like "The Homecoming Queen's Got a Gun" and "'Cause I'm a Blonde."
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll get it in the next one. You'll get it. You'll all get it.
So, Josie.
I hope so.
So, yeah, I think we all hope so, Josie. So, Josie, so where you are now is probably a really good spot at the moment. You've is there more music coming out, or can you give our listeners and viewers a bit of an exclusive as to what to expect for song number 2?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are very much underway planning for this next release. So when I was in the studio in February. So it's been a while, like since I was in the studio to releasing. I feel like I was sitting on it forever. And we did 2 songs while we were there. So that I knew I had something in my back pocket. So yeah, the next one's coming out a lot sooner than I think than everyone else thinks as well. So all will be revealed soon. But I think I said earlier that it is going to be about my dad and about our life lessons that he taught me growing up in the truck. It's a very special song. It's a bit more easygoing than Down Here, but I think it really helps, show all my different, aspects of an artist and, all the different places I can go. And I think it's going to be a good follow-up to, show just how versatile I can be as an artist. But it's really special. And I can tell you that it was co-written with Golden Guitar winner Travis Collins. So really exciting. Yeah.
Do you think you'll go down the sort of the modern way now, is just releasing one sort of song at a time and goes up onto Spotify or wherever? Or do you think you'll put a bigger package of songs together? And what does your music course, what do they say is the right way to go these days?
Good question.
Yeah,
Megan.
they really haven't touched on like release. They definitely have touched on release strategy. I'm not going to say they haven't, but I think like at the moment, it's very much like a singles market for people like me, and just attention spans these days. Like TikTok is the biggest thing ever because everyone loves their little 10-second funniness. And then they're like, scroll on and give me more content. So I think, and I mean, with that being said, it's also like if I was to record an album, I would need to take out a mortgage. Yeah. Like it would be incredibly expensive. So I think the singles, I'm going to be on the singles train for a little bit. Just to, show people who I am, give them some content, give them my product and show them what I can do. And then hopefully I would love to release an album. Like that's going to be my latest.
Yeah. Well, hopefully someone,
I've definitely got enough songs for it.
Can pay for that.
Yeah, that's the aim.
I'd like that. I'd like that.
But I think in the current market, basically, if you've got the current market, if you've got too many songs out at once, you burn a couple of songs and they get a bit lost in the stampede. You've got to sort of really capitalize on a track at a time,
Yeah. So I think I can like repackage the stuff as like an EP after I've got 5 or 6 songs out.
Are
you left-handed? Maybe do an EP. I feel like that's probably a bit more achievable. Right-handed.
The guitar's flipped the other way. It's mirrored. Yeah.
Okay. Josie, speaking about TikTok, your TikTok game is on point, and
Thank you.
That's how I came to discover you and your music. So, how have you found that particular social media platform, and any advice for people who are wanting to use it? Because you seem to have a really good, solid following there, and from that you've seen good commentary and engagement on YouTube and etc. So I'm seeing links between TikTok and YouTube, and obviously what's happening with your streaming songs. So what sort of advice would you provide to someone who knows they should be getting into TikTok but are quite scared?
TikTok was seriously my game changer for this single. Like I've had it for ages, and it originally was like my personal account where I just post like really dumb shit and like funny memes and stuff and make ridiculous videos. And I literally had it from back when it was Musically. I don't know if you guys know that, but it used to be Musically, and I had it from then. So it's still that same account from way back then. And I've always loved it. I've loved being able to I am one of those people that will sit there and scroll, and I get my little 10-second laugh, and then I scroll onto the next thing like, that's funny. So it was always just something that I knew, like, this is my platform. I love it. And coming into the single, like when I was in the studio, I was sitting there going, okay, I haven't even got the song finished yet, but I know like I need to start coming up with these ideas for like content, because that is just how so many people in my zone are really blowing up at the moment. And artists like James Johnston, he's really, made a big wave over there with his music. And I was like, okay, who can I watch? So I just started literally like stalking all these artists, going, okay, what are they doing? What's getting the most engagement? And really it's like with my content that I did post, I spent like 30 minutes one day with my sister. I did my hair, did my makeup, put some cool clothes on, went out in my backyard, and we literally took like 15, 20-second snippets of the song in different parts and just recorded it over and over, walking or just standing there and doing little hand movements. Like literally 30-minute block of doing that gave me 20 odd content videos. Great. And, with a bit of some color grading and making it look a little bit fancy to catch the eye, and starting it with like that hook that really pulls everyone in, that makes them, because again, attention span, if they don't care about the first 2 seconds, they're gone, they're swiped. So that first 2 seconds, just write your next road trip banger, like, or this is my debut single, have a listen, straight into the song. Like it's very much grabbing their attention straight away, because that is like the retention rate. If that's not in the first 3 seconds that they've want to listen, then they're gone and you've lost them. But thankfully, like all of my stuff, after researching and looking at all these other artists doing the same thing, you can see like a pattern of what the content is that people are engaging with. And like with mine, they literally blew up overnight. I gained 11,000 followers in 2 weeks, which was ridiculous. And I couldn't keep up. I was sitting there like every 2 seconds, I'd look at my phone and all the notifications are full again. And I was like, do people really do this all the time? I'm already sick of it. Like I turned the notifications off. I was like, I can't deal with this. But a lot of it was like, you got to really have thick skin if you're going to jump on TikTok and put your life out there, because seriously, the
social media is a hungry beast.
It is.
It's like it's ridiculous.
Yeah. But you got to do it.
I see it in a good way, that it really boosted the algorithm, all those comments, and then it showed the video to other people that loved it. So it worked well. Just had to deal with, some of the crappy stuff that people were saying, but everyone gets it. It's just people that have nothing better to do with their life, like I said, and I'd like to see them give it a crack,
Yeah.
So
you have to let that go. That's that sort of stuff. For sure.
So that's my TikTok tips, if that helps.
Rossi, I've seen Pocket Wash. The boys are having a good old crack at for their album, their EP launch, and they're on TikTok quite extensively as well. So
and Instagram and Facebook and like in my ear 24 hours a day, But like it's a rapaciously hungry beast, right? And for young women, it can be even more brutal. You have to kind of realize that it's Josie, the performer, is not you.
Yeah,
it's like your character.
I have to like dissociate.
You must.
Good point.
Because people will say anything. They're disgraceful.
Yeah, they do. It is crazy, and especially for young women. Like, obviously not trying to be like sexist or anything, but we are so targeted, and everyone just thinks that they can say anything, and it's like, whatever. They don't. I'll get to them. It's fine. It's like, great.
True.
So the first money you get, you'll hire a social media manager?
I hope so. I do enjoy it. I have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
But you do. You have to have thick skin, which I do. And I mean, growing up with Truckee as a dad, I have very thick skin. So
good work.
I'm a bogan through and through. And
I
take everything with a grain of salt.
You'd have some good comebacks, Josie.
Oh,
if your dad was a trucker,
you bloody bet. I've had to really, really hold my tongue in responding to these comments with like the most smart ass possible things ever. But I'm like, no, hold back. Because I'm such a jokester and I will have a crack.
So the alarm's just gone off again.
All right.
Here we go.
And Josie,
I'm buckled in.
I reckon there's a song out there called "I'm a Bogan Through and Through." So
there is. Yep. That'll be the next one.
I'll tell you what, it's really so good to hear a North Queensland accent on the show. It's
great. Yeah, great.
And there is one, I can tell it.
Okay. I'm so glad.
Are you ready?
You're just lucky I can speak Queenslander.
Yeah, lucky. It's so foreign. So foreign.
Okay.
Hey.
Yeah. Undeterred by my 4th place in Eurovision, and with the change in musical direction, I released the 3rd album, in the US and Canada, going for a more country-orientated audience. It worked, with the first single reaching number 5 and number 2 on the pop and country charts, respectively. The second single, written by Jeff Barry and Peter Allen, became my signature song and also became my first US number 1. However, in the United States, my success in country music sparked a debate among purists who took issue with a foreigner singing country-flavored pop music being classed with native Nashville artists. In addition to a Grammy Award, I was also named the Country Music Association's Female Vocalist of the Year, a designation which made me the first British singer to have won the award. And the title also meant I defeated more established Nashville-based nominees like Loretta Lynn, Dolly Parton, and Tanya Tucker. At this point, my career steadied for a few years until in 1978, I was cast in a starring role for what would become one of the world's most beloved musicals. The soundtrack spent 12 weeks at number 1. Another musical followed in 1980. Then in 1981, with a more risque, rock-orientated look, I released my most successful album, the double platinum Physical. I've just finished this. Everyone kind of knows, I guess, by now, hopefully.
I'm only with that last one.
An Australian journalist once commented that following my career was like watching our slightly older and braver sister grow up in public. And her most lasting legacy might be as the rare celebrity who was almost universally well-liked and thought of as an essentially kind and warm-hearted person. Truly an Australian music legend. My name is...
It's Olivia, isn't it?
Olivia Newton-John. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hard for Josie because she's much younger.
Yeah, I'm a young chicken. When you were like saying those years at the start, I was like, holy shit, how old is this person? I was like, damn.
Yeah, Ross
1944.
What was that?
Rossi's the only one who remembers those dates.
Braggy's on fire. Hey, Josie, is Nashville on the horizon?
Oh, I would love it to be. Like, obviously, the song I can't sing about Tennessee. I'd like to be able to. So, you know, it's definitely on the horizon. I would love to make a plan and be like, all right, here we go. I'm going over there. I'm going to write some songs with some cool people. I'm going to play some shows. But yeah, I think it's just finding that path in there. But obviously also just being able to establish myself here first as well. I think it's obviously a lot easier to crack the market in Australia. You go over to Nashville and you're in a sea of millions that are trying to do the same thing as you. And it's like, all right, so I think I'm in a good place here to be able to, get a good reach. But obviously that doesn't stop me from furthering and heading out there and getting an even bigger reach. So we'll see what happens. But I would love to. It is my dream to be over in Nashville. So one day, I think I'm most excited to go there to buy boots.
Also, I've been with my family on a boot buying expedition in Nashville, I tell you, and it's extraordinary, and also in Texas. But so most of your live stuff is like you playing acoustic and you doing solo stuff. But I did see you had to cancel a band show as well.
Yeah, so I was meant to have my debut Josie band show, opening for Brad Cox.
Yep.
And Travis Collins and Sammy White. And because we had like some forecasted weather, which may I add didn't actually even happen. So we had to move the venue inside to a smaller venue, and Travis Collins dropped off the lineup, which really sucked. And then it was the day before, and they're like, yeah, you also have to play the show solo, after I'd been preparing for a band gig. And this was meant to be my big thing, you know. I'd gotten all this merch and stuff. Like I literally put so much preparation into it and was so excited to have this debut band show. I even had family come and surprise me from down south. Like they flew here for this big thing. And then it just turned out to be me solo. So that kind of like, it was bittersweet because it's led me to a whole bunch of other opportunities. But like, obviously it would have been incredible to have had that debut band show. And I had like videographers lined up and everything to, you know, just get a capture of my live show. Because I don't really have too much like live show of me doing anything original really to, you know, show to promoters or whatever. So I was really looking forward to that. But yeah, like I said, it did lead into a lot of other opportunities that have come up for me, which I'm really excited about. We'll see how they pan out. And some band shows from that on the horizon. Let's hope the weather doesn't cancel those.
But it's cheaper for a girl with a guitar to play than it is to carry a band.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Much cheaper.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. But I'm very excited to eventually be able to play my debut band show. So, hopefully not too far away.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
we'll keep an
couple
eye out for
more
that.
songs like Down Here, Josie, and then you'll be gone.
Flying.
Yeah.
I hope. That's the plan.
You might even make it to Sydney one day.
Well, I'm coming to Sydney in a few weeks, actually, to come and see Luke Combs. Very excited. And I'm going into the studio with a friend there as well, and we're going to do like a little co-write and do up a demo. So I'm pretty excited for my Sydney trip.
Oh, it's always lovely down here.
Well, I've actually only ever been I had a layover one day where I was there for like 3 hours, and I had a friend who was in Sydney, and she's like, I'll come pick you up and you can come see the Opera House and then you can go back to the airport. And I was like, this sounds like the most stressful moment of my life, but I'm down. And literally, left the airport. And I'm like, I have no idea where the hell I am. This is terrifying. Coming from the Townsville airport, which is literally one room, to Sydney airport. And I'm like, how am I going to get back in here? This is ridiculous. And got out, and she's like, yeah, I'm parked in, this level of that. And I'm like, what level? We have one car park at the Townsville airport, mate. And
anyway. Did you have a passport? Did you have your passport? Because you're from Queensland.
Yeah, I know, I needed it. But yeah, so I've been in Sydney for 2 hours, saw the Opera House, ate food at Darling Harbour and left. So that's all I've seen of Sydney. So I'm excited to have a few days there to actually, see what Sydney is.
Oh, that's great.
It's not a bad place. It's
there's some
very
good country. There's some very good country performers working in Sydney.
There is.
Oh yeah.
There's some great studios.
I need you to send me through the venues that I need to check.
Okay, I can have a look at that.
Josie, just the final thing that we'll have a chat about. You've had your own health issues. You've got Crohn's autoimmune disease, and currently in remission. So how have you been able to get to where you are while going through, obviously, the challenges that any sort of a disease like that brings? Yeah,
it's been a hard slog, to say the least. And it was it's funny we're talking about Tamworth, because it was my second last Tamworth that I did, where I was extremely sick and I was doing all these gigs and I was literally skin and bone. I was so sick, and I was doing gigs and I was like, I can't do this. I'm literally going to pass out. But I had no idea what was wrong with me. So it was that Tamworth trip that led me to go do a GP appointment and be like, there's something wrong with me. And then they're like, oh yeah, maybe organs are going to explode. And it was like,
oh, okay.
Oh, really? Went to a different doctor. And I was like, yeah, that sounds fun. I'll look out for jaundice. Anyway, yeah. So I went to another doctor and he's like, no, how about you go and see a gastroenterologist? I think this would be your best option. Went and saw her within 2 weeks, and she had me in and was diagnosed within 2 days of seeing her, going, hey, by the way, you have Crohn. My last year, the hardest months of my life, really. Sitting in that hospital room, everyone's wearing masks, and it's oh, COVID. And it was a whole thing. And coming up to me going, yeah, you have Crohn's disease. And I was like, what is that? I literally have zero idea. Never heard of it. Just had zero clue. And I think that's kind of why I love to be such an open book about it, though, is because, for a young little chicken like me that's hearing, oh, you've got Crohn's disease, and I'd never heard of it before, just being able to spread the word. It's a thing. This is what it is. You're not alone. There's actually so many people in Australia that suffer from IBD. And yeah, it was just something that I felt so alone with. I was like, this is great. I've got this random mass disease that no one else has got, and I'm all by myself. But then it's as soon as you start talking about it,
everybody,
this such and such's brother has Crohn's disease. Oh, they have colitis. Oh, there's this whole Facebook group full of people that are suffering and sharing all of their, rants and giving each other help. It's wow, okay, so it's a big community.
It's crazy. US comedian Pete Davidson has Crohn's disease.
Yeah, he does, and he's spoken about it and joked about it heaps, and I joke about it all the time. I'm seriously such an open book. And yeah, because if I don't laugh or cry, no, I'm kidding. I obviously being in remission, it's great. And I really thank these, I go to the hospital every 8 weeks. I'm in there getting an infusion, which is the immune suppressant. Basically, it stops my entire immune system functioning so that it doesn't keep attacking itself, because that's what it's doing. And I mean, being on this medication obviously makes me, I don't have an immune system, so I get sick really easy, and then I don't get better very easy. So that's the trade-off for feeling heaps better when I'm not sick, Like, I think it's a worthy trade-off, but I do have many moments where it's like, wow, I'm really going to be on this like drug for the rest of my life, or what's the go? But it's something where it's like, like stay on it. If you're well, don't get off it. Like, stay on it. It's doing you good, and just ride it out. So, and I'm very thankful that we have access to that. I mean, like, if I was living in America, I'd be having to fork out thousands to do this. Yeah. And so grateful for just the hospital system here and the healthcare system. I've seriously been I've had really great treatment. I've had some terrible experiences, but like being able to get this treatment that's, made me so much better. Very grateful for that that's even a thing, really. Like, medicine, what the heck? Great. So and I've gone through a fair few different things. I've had to go on trials of steroids and stuff, which is insane, and that would make me really sick as well. But they've just put you on anything and everything. It's like, okay, how do we calm this down? And then we found that these infusions were the go-to, and it's like, oh, this is great. Go in every 8 weeks, feel a bit shit for 48 hours, and Bob's your uncle, off I go. I'm cruising. And all my inflammation levels down, and just living the dream. I mean, it's great that I'm in remission while I'm releasing music, because I can't imagine doing this in a flare. That would be horrendous. But so it's a whole thing. But and this is in my next song that's coming out, I have a little line in there that says, there's always someone else in a tougher place than mine. And that's been the biggest thing that really gets me through anything. There is always someone in a tough place than mine, and I'm very lucky to be how I am. So I always see it like that. I try to see the brighter side of things and just keep kicking. I'm not going to let it, beat me. The only person that can kick my ass as hard as I can is no one. I kick my ass. And I have a little tattoo here that says life takes guts. So about my Crohn's disease, because it really does take guts, and the disease is in my guts. So it's a play on words.
But I think it's really good. I think it's good that you're putting it on the same platform as your music and making people aware of it. I think it's really fantastic. Well done.
And I've actually, in previous, I want to say a couple of years ago, I was putting up these little polls and things of, did you know about this? Did you know about that? And telling them about my experience. And I had so many messages of people that I actually had known of through school that had responded to it and been like, you have IBD? So do I. I had no idea. And all of a sudden you're making these connections of other people, or people that are freshly diagnosed, and they're like, I've just been diagnosed with this. I felt so alone. Thank you for sharing this. And people that seriously appreciate just that awareness. And I was like, okay, this is great. I've done my job. That's what I want to do. Sharing your tips and tricks. It's a great community with everyone when you can finally get in about things is the best. Excellent.
Josie, it has been absolutely amazing speaking with you today. There's part inspiration, part joy with the music that you put out, and congratulations once again, 50,000 streams. You've got an amazing TikTok following. As with all of our guests, we've added your song to our playlist on Spotify, the Unfiltered and Undiscovered playlist. Wherever you're listening or watching this episode, please leave a review. Please subscribe. We're on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. Not very good on TikTok, but we are on there. We've also got a website, unfilteredandundiscovered.com. Don't forget, we have our playlist, as I've already mentioned, and words from the playlist, lyrics from the playlist this week come from our very good friend in Nashville, Alison A. Sarch, and it's a very simple one, and it's Thank You, Tequila. Once again, Josie, thank you so much for coming on the podcast tonight. We will see everyone next week. Next week, we have an episode that's wholly and solely focused on recording your music at home. It should be a cracker. We've got another gentleman from Townsville joining us from that, Rob Stanier, and should be a great show. So once again, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Been watching Watching all those other girls acting like they own the world, dancing in the neon glow. I'm normally kinda shy, never would've walked up to a guy, kinda wanna get to know. I guess a little bit of liquid courage was all it really took, and now I can see it's working just the way I hoped it would. So thank you, tequila, for being my friend tonight. You're just what I needed to get a lot more loose and a little less tight. I'm helping on sealing a kiss if everything goes right. Tonight I could care less 'cause I'm feeling fearless. Thank you, tequila. Tomorrow I might wake up still wearing all my makeup, searching for my left high heel that I left in an Uber, but it's happy hour twofer and I just can't pass up a deal. Bartender,